position before. I was wondering if you could address Venezuela, the FARC, and Hezbollah.
How much time do we have? I'm looking around the room. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to guess at least a couple of folks in this room probably have a Twitter account and look and follow Twitter. If you follow my Twitter lead, you'll see Venezuela figures pretty heavily in it. Unfortunately, it seems to be divided almost equally between one group of Venezuelans who are accusing me of planning the invasion of Venezuela, and on the other hand, by a group of Venezuelans who are imploring me to plan the invasion of Venezuela. That's not the problem, and that's not what Venezuela needs, frankly. The challenge with Venezuela is it is a humanitarian disaster of almost monumental proportions. And what is it doing to neighboring countries who are our very close friends and close partners? Conservatively, probably 1 million Venezuelans have fled Venezuela into Colombia. And so one of the challenges, and kind of gets at that, plays to the second point you asked about FARC, Colombia successfully concluded a peace treaty that is intended to end a 50-year civil war. One of the resources available to do that are being consumed at a prodigious rate by the need of the Colombian people to meet the needs of this tidal wave of Venezuelan that have fled across the border into Colombia. And so it has a direct impact on Colombia's ability to successfully reintegrate that population. What does that mean for us? It means we need to continue to stand with our Colombian partners who have been extraordinarily good partners and that we know well, work together well, and who I'm proud to say serve. And I have a Colombian general officer as a director on my staff, as indicative of the level of closeness of that partnership. But it's going to be a challenge. The fact that we just saw the Organization of American States successfully vote for the first time on a measure that was critical of Venezuela is that's a landmark achievement. That's never happened previously. But it's because every single one of the countries are recognizing now it's literally the tens to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans that have flooded into Colombia, into Brazil, into Peru, into Argentina, and Chile even. But it also, in much smaller numbers, is having a dramatic impact on the island nations, Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago, even Barbados. And so small numbers, but those small numbers have enormous impact on the ability of the countries to meet the needs of these desperately poor, impoverished people that have lost everything. So the region is working, and the region will have to come up with a regional solution to Venezuela. Venezuela, FARC, Hezbollah. Okay. You know, the interesting thing is we have been paying very close attention, and when we identified initially under the NMS the 4+1, you know, that was China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and violent extremist Sunni extremism. You know, we pointed out that, okay, let's see, looking around the Latin America and Caribbean theater, Russia, check. China, check. They're here. Iran, oh yeah, Hezbollah has been here for a long time. In fact, Hezbollah has been directly implicated in some terrorist attacks back in the 90s in Argentina. And as we like to point out, with all of the, you know, kind of the pyrotechnics over deciding who was the B team, folks lost sight who the A team was that in terms of terrorist movements, and that was Hezbollah. And so they continue to pose a very serious force in being. You know, now, what is Hezbollah engaged in this theater? It's largely engaged in large-scale criminal activity in order to fund their terrorist activities in other parts of the world. But that does not mean that they don't bear very close observation and watch, because if, for whatever reason, Iran chooses to take advantage of proxies and other elements in order to strike out, we, as responsible security professionals, can't make the mistake of assuming that it will only happen in the Middle East. Just like we can't assume that Russia will only engage in problematic activities in Eastern Europe or China in the South China Sea. If these are truly global challenges, which we believe them to be, we have to pay attention to what they're doing on a global basis. Okay? Sir.